All right, let's head to the banks of the mighty Danube River, to a Bulgarian city that holds this incredible secret right in its very stones. This is Ruse, and its story is as grand and elegant as the buildings you see there. And, that whole story really kicks off with one simple, very common observation. It's the first thing that hits almost every visitor. I mean, imagine you're walking through the city center, you're surrounded by these ornate facades, these wide boulevards, and you just can't shake the feeling that you've been dropped into another country. Maybe Austria or Hungary. It just feels really, really Western European. And that's the big question, right? That's the mystery we're going to solve today. How on earth did this Bulgarian port city, hundreds of miles from Austria, get the nickname Little Vienna? Well, the answer isn't just about pretty buildings. It's a story of trade, of freedom, and of a city's burning ambition to write its own identity in stone. Okay, so to really understand this incredible transformation, we've got to rewind. We need to see what Rus was like before it became Little Vienna. Because let me tell you, its foundations were built for completely different reasons. For almost 2,000 years, the buildings here were all about survival and control. It started way back with the Romans, right? They built with stone to show power, to make things permanent. Then, during the Bulgarian empires, the focus shifted to defense, and churches were kept humble so they wouldn't attract invaders. And finally, under Ottoman rule, the city, then called Rushuk, was a city of wood. It was all about practicality, not looks. So for centuries, this was what you'd call an inward-facing city. Homes were mostly wood, built to work, not to impress. Life really happened in private courtyards, tucked away behind high walls. The whole idea of using your building to show off to people on the street, that just wasn't a thing. So this is our before picture. Remember this. And then the 19th century happened. And this one century would completely rewrite Rus's architectural DNA. It basically turned that quiet, inward-facing town completely inside out. So what lit the fuse? This river. The Danube was like the internet of its day, a superhighway for commerce and culture that plugged Rus directly into the heart of Europe, into cities like Vienna and Budapest. Now, a lot of wealth flowed into the city, for sure, but something way more powerful came with it. Ideas. New ways of thinking about what a city could even be. You can see the chain reaction perfectly here. First, trade opens the door to Europe. Then, new ideas, and the architects who know how to build them, walk right on through. Then comes the game changer, Bulgaria's liberation from Ottoman rule in 1878. That just unleashes this massive wave of national confidence. And suddenly, architecture wasn't just a roof over your head, it became a powerful, visible symbol of a new, free, and modern European identity. And that explosion of confidence, it kicked off what everyone now calls Rusi's Golden Age. We're talking about the period from the late 1800s to the early 1900s. This is when Little Vienna was truly born. And wow, the change was dramatic. I mean, they flipped the script on everything. Humble wood gets replaced by permanent stone. Those narrow, winding lanes, gone, replaced by wide, straight boulevards. And the whole focus shifts from being private and functional to public and decorative. The city was literally remaking itself in a European image right before everyone's eyes. And get this, they weren't just building randomly. They were basically window shopping for the most fashionable architectural styles directly from Vienna. You see neo-Baroque everywhere with its rich, heavy decorations. You see neoclassical, using columns and perfect balance to project this sense of stability and order. And then you get the incredibly charming Art Nouveau. Art Nouveau, or the Secession style as they called it, is all about the details. It was about tossing out rigid, straight lines in favor of flowing, organic shapes you'd find in nature. You see it in balconies that look like twisting vines or windows that have these soft curves. It really treated every single building, even just a regular house, like it could be a work of art. And that, right there, is the big shift. This was a complete revolution in thinking. A building's facade became a public canvas. It was a way for the city and its wealthy citizens to broadcast their dreams, their culture, and their brand new place in the world. They were literally building a legacy for everyone to see. A perfect example is the city's most iconic building, the Dohodna Zdanie. This thing wasn't just a theater. Look at the sculptures on its facade. They represent art, science, trade. This building was a statement designed to project the city's highest ideals, progress, education, culture, for the whole world to see. So,
This amazing architectural legacy gets built. But then, the 20th century arrives, with all of its turmoil. How did this legacy hold up?
Well, after World War I, styles got simpler. Then, during the socialist era, architecture took another hard turn, focusing on these massive concrete structures that were all about political ideology. But thankfully, so much of Ruse's historic center was preserved. Since 1989, there's been this huge effort to restore that Golden Age glory, and now they face that classic challenge. How do you build a modern future without erasing your beautiful past? So when you boil it all down, what's the big idea here? It's that architecture is never just walls and roofs. It is history that you can see and touch. It's a physical record of a community's dreams, its struggles, and its victories. In Ruse, every one of those elegant facades tells the story of a city that looked to Europe and boldly said, yeah, we belong here. And that kind of leaves us with one last thought. The next time you walk down your own street, really look at the buildings around you. What are they made of? What styles do you see? What story of ambition or function or history are they telling you? Because as Ruse shows us, every city is a history book written in stone, just waiting for us to read it.